Hello, and welcome to another Brown Girls in the Rain book club. Today's number, the number
Don't
doesn't
even
matter
count it
anymore.
anymore.
We're far enough in that the number doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
today we are going to be discussing Angie Thomas's Concrete Rose, which is the prequel to The Hate You Give. And I'm all over the place. Sorry, I'm Anika, that Shranja, but you already know this because it's all of our regular people.
Yeah. It's only been us on here except for Divby and Sean and Greg.
No, I mean like all of our people
Yeah.
out there in the world know who we are.
They know who we
Our
are.
three people.
All right. You want me to start the summary?
Sure, take it away.
Okay,
If anybody's here, say hello in the comments.
so Concrete Rose is a prequel to Angie Thomas's debut novel, The Hate You Give. And anyone who knows The Hate You Give, it was made into a very popular movie about starring Amandla Stenberg a few years ago. And yeah, Concrete Rose is the prequel to that, and it's about Starr's father, Maverick, as he's like 16 years old in the book,
Yep.
and he just learns that he has a newborn son, and he has to kind of figure out how he's going to, go take care of this newborn son, go to school, and also he is also part of the local gang called the King Lords, and he's sort of like trying to figure out how he's going to balance all of this on top of being a new father. And then get this. Hi, Shalina. It's nice to meet you. Heard very good things from Anika. um,
Yeah.
yeah, and not only does he find out that he has a newborn son, but he also finds out that his currently on and off girlfriend is also pregnant at the same time. So he needs to figure out what the heck he's going to do. He's only 16 and he has one kid and another kid on the way. He's also part of a local gang, and that's not, as everyone knows, that's not the greatest life to have as a 16-year-old boy. So he needs to figure out what he can do to support his family and also leave the life he's living behind. And my first question is to you, Anika, because you're the only
Hold
person
on,
here.
before you put the questions in. Something that you missed. So he had this baby with this girl that he hasn't been dating. But the little backstory into that is that up until that point, he thought that the baby was his best friend's. He thought his best friend fathered the baby. And how this came to be was that he was having some issues with his girlfriend, and like they broke up for like a little bit, like a few weeks. And his best friend's like, oh, like take some stress out. Like, what's her face is in
Yeah,
the back there. So like
here's
he
my
went
girl. Take
and de-stressed himself. And
yeah.
she got pregnant, and up until the day that they found out that the DNA test came back, they thought that it was King's baby, and she even named the baby King. But then Maverick, which is the guy in our story,
The
the
main
main,
character.
he's like, nah, that don't fly. I have to find a name for my son. So he figured out that the name would be Seven because he has just okay. I am like going left, right, center. But the book is called Concrete Rose, and it's based off of the Tupac song "The Rose That
It's
Grew from Concrete."
it's based off his album. He had a whole album that was
Yeah.
released posthumously, and it was called
So
the Rose That Grew from Concrete.
so Maverick realized that like Tupac had this affinity to the number seven. Like everything was 777, and like seven is the number of perfection. So he named his son Seven.
Mhm. Yeah. What did you think about the book, Anika?
Okay, so I loved it. It was a quick read. Like I started it and just like I feel like this would be an easy book for a middle schooler to read because it's just engaging.
Hmm.
However, the end I felt like it just dropped off.
Yeah, I felt the
Like
same
the
way
ending
too.
didn't feel like the end of a book. It just felt like okay, like where's the next chapter?
I feel like the author just wanted to end it on a hopeful note, whereas like with Maverick saying like, I'm gonna get my GED, I'm gonna open a business, I'm gonna get my life straightened out. Whereas like if you've read The Hate You Give, you find out that Maverick, in order to get away from the King Lords, he actually went to jail. Like he took a charge for King, even though he himself didn't commit the crime. He fell for the crime in order to protect King, and then King said, like, I'll let you out of the gang if you do this for me. But they didn't show that in this book, which is I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see that part in the story.
Because in this story, it kept showing him saying like he wants to do better for his son, and then his next now it's going to be a daughter, we know, but he wanted to get out, and King's just like no, and King got him like dealing drugs outside of the gang, like basically turning their back, and he's like, no, I don't want to do that, and like King was just he's a bad influence. Like when you have a best friend, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you are with a friendship like that, or like that's your best friend, immediately leave. Like that's not what friendship's about. A
What I
lot of
liked
people
about
just like a lot of people think that you know somebody for a long time, so that means something, but no. I don't care if I've known you since we were 3 weeks old. If you're not looking out for the best for me, it's not gonna happen.
Well, that's like a theme in this book, right? It talks about how deep loyalty can go, and versus like how deep it can go versus like how deep it should go. Whereas like exactly what you said, just because we've known each other from like what 3 years old doesn't necessarily mean I should go down for crimes that you made, or like just because you're doing something doesn't mean I should be doing it at the same time as well, right?
Exactly. All because your families are mixed up in the gang stuff. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean you have to repeat history. Like you can make
Yeah.
it better for yourself. The
Another
only
thing
person
about
in this book who truly like was loyal and held it down for him was his cousin Dre.
was his cousin Dre.
And
About
his cousin knew better.
the repeating history part. That is like a common thing in like gang violence, where you see that like
Yeah.
one person goes down in like in like gang violence, and then you see the person who you see like their family members or like their friends going after the person who shot them or killed them, and then it's just like a never ending circle of violence, right? Which is what you see Mav do. Like he tries to find out who killed his cousin Dre in the story, and then he finds the perpetrator, but then he at the last minute decides that
He
like
makes the choice not to
he's
go
not
through
gonna
with
do it,
killing
right?
him.
Yeah, which is what I that's a beautiful message. I really like that part.
Exactly. You thought like based off of this stuff, like if you had never watched the movie or read the book of The Hate You Give, you would think that Maverick went like a whole different direction with his life because
Hmm.
he was taking the correct steps to do well with his life.
Hmm.
However, what I do like a message that you got from The Hate You Give, but not this, which is how he raised his kids. Because this, like, they're still babies, and well,
One's still in the
Seven's a
womb.
baby, one is not born yet.
Yeah.
But in The Hate You Give, you learn like how he brought his kids up and
Yeah.
how like important that was. Like he made
Yeah.
sure they know what their name meant, who they were.
They also memorized
Yeah,
the Black Panther
yeah,
the Black Panther's like he Anika, you know what the name of the
yeah.
document that I'm talking about? Like the Black Panther's like notes for knowing your rights.
Let me look it up.
Like it's like 7 points of freedom or something like that. I don't have the name off the top of my head. It's like basically uh, know what to do when you're stopped by like a police officer.
Mm,
His daughter's name is Starr.
10 point. This is a 10-point program. That's what it
10,
is.
10 point program. Yeah. He had his kids memorize that just so that they know their
Yeah,
rights, right? And
you
that in
got
and of
it.
itself is amazing. Yeah. I
Oh
even
yeah,
like
Greg. Greg, her name is Star with two
Starr.
R's. With
Yeah.
two R's. You know, they gotta be
She's
different.
extra special.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I even like the fact that he put so much thought into his kids' names, right? Because you don't see the third child's name in this book, but he names his third son Sakani, and then Starr, and then Seven, which all have like their own unique names. Like he was really thinking about who he wanted them to be, and what they meant to him in that moment. Like, I'm so happy he didn't give them like a plain name.
And that's all thanks to his dad, because his
Hmm.
dad had said that he thought his name out and he named him Maverick because it meant that he was an independent thinker.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
there's the other aspect where King, his best friend King, was named after their gang. And it's like,
Hmm.
look, he kind of lived up to that in that he never broke free of that cycle, and like he was just a bad guy overall.
Hmm. Even Maverick had a nickname as well, like being called Little Don,
Lil
which is like
Don, his
Don is
dad,
his father, right? And so Mav always
yeah,
felt like he had to like
live
live
up
up
to his
to his
dad.
father's reputation, right?
Yeah.
It was only near the end of the book that he decided, like, you know what, I'm not gonna be Little Don anymore. I'm gonna be Mav. Like, I'm gonna live up to the meaning of my own name.
Hmm.
But I was gonna say, uh, did you
How'd you?
did you have a
Oh,
oh, you go
I was gonna say, how'd you feel about what's his what's his baby mama's name? What's Star's
Lisa?
mom's name? Yeah.
Lisa?
How'd you feel about Lisa's family? They were aggravating me. Her brother needed to cool it, and I did not like her mom.
But I feel like her family's reaction to her getting pregnant was too realistic. Because that's how my mom and dad would react. Like, I'd get kicked out of the house. My brother would
I
try to.
didn't I didn't like them because like they didn't even want to give Maverick a chance to begin with. It was a
Well,
bias from the beginning.
it was a bias from the beginning, but like I feel like their bias towards him just represented how people in society might view Maverick in general.
Hmm.
Just the fact that like he's this young boy who has two kids out of wedlock, he's struggling to stay in school, he's in a gang. Like I feel like their attitude towards him represents the attitude of society in general. Like you wouldn't like some people in the world wouldn't look twice at Maverick. They would just label him as like a thug, like a gangster, no good person up worth of no account, right? It's But like
But
if you don't read a book like this, you don't see like all the
her,
issues and all the factors that.
it was just annoying because her mom just kicked her out and didn't even go and check up on her after. And it's like her mom, like her dad had a whole other family. Lisa's dad had a whole other family. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear that it wasn't that her parents were together and they like divorced and then he got a new family. It seemed like her mom kind of was the other woman, like the outside one. So she should be the one to talk.
Listen, I think my parents would have just reacted the same, but there are
Yes, but your
hypocrisies
parents
all
are
over around.
together and your parents
Mhm,
like it's different.
mhm.
It's not
I'm
hypocritical.
I'm like there was a scene in the book where Carlos goes to Maverick's house on Thanksgiving, and then he just beats up Maverick in the front yard, and I'm like, yeah, this is like typical of any brother, right? This is just how they would react if their sister got knocked up, and it was just by like some random kid. So
Well, I mean, it wasn't just by some random kid
it was
like that. She was in a relationship with him.
she was in a relationship with him, but they
The
didn't recognize
the
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 relationship.
other one was like him being some random kid because he was
Mm,
in a relationship with Aisha.
mm. What did you think about Aisha though? The fact that like
Oh,
she
she
just
was
dropped
going
off
through some
Seven.
things.
Hmm.
Like she clearly had like postpartum depression,
Yeah, and it
and
didn't seem like she had a steady home life.
yeah, her mother didn't support.
Mm.
But like that being said, she's a whole dumbass because you have a child out there which you're not raising. You're only getting to see once a week, and then you go lay up in King's house and go and get pregnant again. Like the first time you can claim, say, oh, it was an accident, but the second time it's no accident.
But I'm like, we can't judge her when Mav did the same thing,
But
right?
he's taking care of his child.
Well, she looks like she's having some type of issues though. Like she doesn't have a steady home. How are
That's
you
why
gonna?
you don't have another child.
You and I know that, but the kids in this book don't. I wanted to say one of the things that I liked about this book was the fact that it gives more development to like the
Hold,
side characters.
which one, Greg? 7 or the one she's pregnant with now? Because 7 was clearly not planned.
Yeah, clearly not planned. But I think she was trying to get pregnant by King for a little bit. Like she seemed like she wanted to have a baby with him. I can't remember the name of the girl, her daughter's name in The Hate You Give, but she's the one who's like Star's other best friend. I can't remember her name. But like I wanted to say this I like this book because it gives like added development to characters like
The Hate
Aisha
You Give. Yeah.
versus The Hate You Give, where like they're kind of like cardboard characters in The Hate You Give, whereas this you see
Mm-hmm.
kind of like their own life. Even with King, you got that little paragraph where it says like he was like a football star, like he was on his way to getting like a scholarship, and then he had to
And he
deal with
got
a racist
expelled.
coach, right? And then
Yeah.
the coach said something or did something like um oh, you have to like wash my car after work and then after school, and then I think the N word was said, possibly,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
King beat him up basically. But like, is that King's fault or is the school's fault for not vetting this person properly before employing him at the school, right?
Well, I
And then
mean,
King got
yes,
expelled
it's King's fault because that's assault. However, the school should have done something before it got to that point.
from school. Yeah, and that's just one case though, right? Like you don't know we didn't see the full history of King at that school, right? Just that one instance, but I thought it was very telling.
Hmm. And King clearly had like a bad home life because he was both his parents died
Mhm.
and he was in and out of foster care.
Mhm.
Like Maverick's mentor, the guy who owns the shop, he
Mhm.
was actually King's foster dad at some point.
Mhm. And even they gave up on him after the assault, right?
Hmm.
Which is kind of sad, but
Also, I like so the name of this book has so many different meanings. Obviously, because like Tupac, it's
mhm.
like he's basically a flower that's growing out of abandonment. But also speaking of his mentor, Mr. What's it, Wyatt,
Mr. Wyatt.
he was teaching him how to do gardening and landscaping, and Maverick like really took an affinity to the roses and how it takes a lot to tend to them, but yet they can live and thrive through the frost and everything that's thrown at them.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that like that's like a good example of what Maverick is, right? And he has like a wonderful support system too. Like he has his mom, even though his dad is not there, you can tell that his dad still loves him, right? His dad phones home. He still cares about
Hmm.
him. He has Lisa, even though Lisa's mad at him, she's still someone who cares about him. Like there's people out there, especially Mr.
There's
Wyatt.
his
Mr. Wyatt,
there's
like it's
his
a whole
mom's
community.
girlfriend who we
Yeah,
didn't know was his mom's girlfriend.
yeah, yeah. I had that pegged in the
Oh, so
first
he's so
couple.
oblivious.
But yeah, it takes like a community. That's what I was trying to say. It takes like a village to raise kids, right? Especially kids like that where they're not growing up in the best circumstances. But it's proof that it can happen, right? It's proof that like just because your circumstances are one way doesn't mean you always have to stay in those circumstances.
And it showed a lot his sacrifice that he did for Starr, not
Hmm.
Starr, for 7,
Hmm.
because he was like really into music and he sold all his CDs, all of his boombox and everything in order to buy the necessities and essentials for his son. And then he he tried to do the straight and narrow thing of just working at Mr. Wyatt, but then he started to sell on the side just to try and make it by. Like he wasn't trying to be in everything fancy. He was just trying to do it for the purposes of taking care of his children. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's nice. I always think about that, like especially working at a store. I can feel for certain people when they steal, but when you're stealing stuff just for the sake of like if you're stealing a TV or you're stealing whatever, like come on, man. I can understand if you're stealing food because you're hungry or you need to provide for your children, but when it's something like extra like that, get out of here.
Also, how do you go into a store and steal a TV? It's kind of,
They walk right out the door. What do you mean?
won't they get caught? But that's a side question.
No. Sometimes
Mhm. Yeah, that's why I really feel
'cause
bad for people who get
they people
penalized
pretend
for.
people pretend that they've paid for stuff. That's
Mm,
how.
mm,
You know, like when you go to self-scan, you get your stuff and then you only scan some stuff, not all,
mhm,
and then you walk out. Or I've seen this with my own eyes because one time I was off the clock. It was before I started work. I was going to buy something. So when I went in the aisle, I was looking at stuff and I seen this woman and her child, and they were like looking at the like the Sharpie markers, and you know the packs of those are expensive, like $30. So I'm like, okay, like people don't usually buy that stuff unless it's on sale. And it wasn't on sale, so I'm like, oh, okay. So then I went to the front to self scan to buy my glue because I had to fix my glasses. They're still holding on. And I see the woman. She is scanning the thing, but I see her pull something out of her pocket, which I think it was like a pineapple tag or something from produce. She puts it under like this and swipes it over so that something cheaper scans.
she's smart.
And I was
She's
trying to get the attention of the girl, but the girl working there was by herself, and then like she couldn't man the two. And then by the time she went to go get a duplicate receipt to see if the woman actually did pay for the stuff, then like the next person on self scan had went, so she couldn't. So the person got away with it.
wow, she's smart. But yeah, going back to the people who like steal food and whatnot, like I always feel bad when people like that get penalized with like jail time or heavy fines, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like it's hard, right? It, and those are, I feel like those are the people who get like always like the short end of the stick, like of the stick, like it's people like that who are like who we punish the most, I feel, when we shouldn't
That's
be.
like that's like one time I remember I saw this high school kid got taken into the office, the loss prevention office, because he was stealing condoms. So it's like he's trying to do good by
Hmm.
being protected, but that's also something that like can be avoided because they need to make things like that free
Free.
access.
Yeah, like he should be able to get that from his school, like a school counselor or something, right? From the nurse's
He
office.
No, 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 no. This kid was wearing uniform. He goes to Catholic school. So they're not they're not
Yeah,
having that.
they're not having that. That's actually kind of sad. Okay, make condoms
So
free too.
yeah.
Yeah. I saw this meme online where it said that no one working a full-time job deserves to live in poverty. And I thought it was strange because you're kind of
I
implying that
posted
people who
that
don't work
yesterday.
full-time uh, you're implying that people who don't work full-time deserve to live in poverty, whereas like no one should be in poverty, right? It doesn't matter what kind of job that you're working, you should have access to basic food and housing, right?
Girl, let me tell you. Right now I'm writing an assignment for global citizenship
Mhm.
and my topic is homelessness.
Mhm.
Homelessness, BIPOC people are the highest numbers of homelessness because the system's set against us. Social
Mhm.
determinants of health are set against us. We don't have access to certain things. And the
Mhm.
thing is,
And we
especially if you're talking about the people here living in the Toronto area, we can't even afford to buy a little shack of a house, much
Mhm.
less.
Mhm.
So of
Yeah.
course there's going to be homelessness. If I didn't have my parents, I would be homeless.
Yeah, you'd be struggling to make bills, right?
I would have to, like, me and a group of people pool money together and illegally rent a property with like 10 of us in one room.
Yeah. I also want to say, like, the rate of homelessness amongst Indigenous youth is very high in this country, right? And it goes back to that thing, what you were saying about like certain groups of people not having access is also not being aware of what's available to them, right? It's not like the government like promotes certain social
Initiatives and
welfare
stuff.
programs.
Yeah. But then there's people out there who are fooling the system.
Let's not talk about that. Just because I feel like there's also a huge group of people that are wealthy who are also gaming the system anyway. Politicians game the system. I don't care about the everyday Joe who's getting like a check when he's not supposed to be. There's like bigger people
Listen,
out there who are gaming
I care
millions of
because when
dollars out of the
when
government.
I'm working hard and there's people who are working alongside me, but they only have to work 10 hours a week, and our government is putting them to live in a prime spot alone where they can have an animal. That's not fair. As
Yeah,
well
but
as,
then you also have more people like Donald Trump out there who aren't paying their taxes and still making
yes,
money and
it's on both ends. Like how two people are in a relationship and whatever, but they're both collecting, like they're saying that they're not common law or anything, and they're both collecting and taking extra money.
yeah. But then the government I feel like you see more of the opposite though, where you see like people who are like higher earning and they're not paying their taxes or they're getting away with so much
Well,
because
that's the
they're
thing.
in a certain tax bracket.
Once you reach a certain tax bracket, you're capped.
Mhm.
Like you don't have to pay, like, say for the us normal people, say you have to pay 25% of whatever. If you got
Mhm.
money, like if you're rich, if you make a certain amount of money, then it gets capped at, like, okay, you only pay X amount of dollars, and once you pay that, then you don't have to pay more. So it's actually, you're not paying your full 25% of your income for
Mhm.
them,
Mhm.
which is definitely not fair.
It is what it is. But I'm just like, it hurt my heart to see, his mom, Maverick's mother, working like a full-time job, struggling to make ends meet. And then Mav is
She has
also
3
working too.
jobs.
She's doing 3 jobs, and then Mav
Yeah.
also takes on a part-time job, and they're still like struggling to make ends meet, right? Well, and then they have like the baby to worry about too. But you would think that like one income plus one part-time job should be enough to cover your fees when it's not.
Nope.
Which is why he was like doing it. Well, it wasn't why, because he was born into the gang life, but like
And they're
it
in
made
America too, so they have to pay every time to go to the doctor.
yeah, yeah. Unless they have insurance. There was a part in the book
Chances are
where
they don't.
there was a part in the book where Mav and Lisa were both at the OBGYN, I think,
Mhm.
and they mentioned that Lisa was still on her mom's insurance, but it was like copay, so the insurance would only cover half, and then Lisa or Mav would have to pay the other half.
Yeah, like
So
$20, and he didn't even have that. And then
$20, yeah.
Carlos was like being disrespectful, saying like, you having a baby with him and he can't even give you $20.
Mm, yeah.
And
Carl's,
because
yeah.
that's when Maverick was trying to be on the straight and narrow and not be in the drug business.
Yeah. But it's things like that like make drug dealing, especially like the money that you make from drug dealing, so appealing, right? Because it's like what they were saying, fast money, right? And it's a lot of money.
Hmm.
But then they also mentioned the book fast money equals a fast end.
Like, how'd you feel about when Dre got snuffed out?
Oh, I was so sad because I feel like that was the only like brother relationship that he had in the book. Like it was so opposite from what he had from
King?
King, right? Because King was looking to get something out of Mav, whereas Dre just wanted the best for Mav. Like he wanted Mav to get out of the gang life. He wanted him to get on the straight and narrow, work at
Go
the
to
grocery
school?
store for Mr. Wyatt, go to school, and to see him like just taken out like that so randomly, and you don't even really understand the reason why. But it's like if that happens to a lot of people. That's the story of how a lot of people lose their lives.
Yup. Or like that Hustler Red.
Yeah. I'm just he's very lucky that it was Mav because if it was anyone else, he would have just been dead on sight. This book kind of gave me have you watched that movie with Cuba Gooding, Boys in the Hood? Like,
Definitely. Sharanja,
yeah,
pause. Any of those black 90s films, you don't have to ask. I've seen them all multiple times.
it's always good to ask,
Do
never
you
make an
know me?
assumption. But it kind of gave me like
And I call this
certain
girl my
vibes
best
from
friend.
that
You just
movie.
got your BFF card revoked.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Oh my gosh. No, but it gave me like certain vibes from that movie, right? Especially the end. Because in the Boys in the Hood, I can't remember Cuba Gooding's character, his name, but you know when Ricky dies,
Mm-hmm.
Ice Cube and Cuba Gooding's character go after the guy that tried to kill that killed Ricky, right? And
Yeah.
then Cuba Gooding Jr. was just like he had a change of heart. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna go home. I can't do this. I'm not a killer. And then Ice Cube and his two friends go after the killers instead. It reminded me of that scene, right? Where you're trying to figure out like what you are capable of versus what you aren't.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would definitely be like that too.
Mhm.
I would definitely be like that. I can't kill nobody. I don't
No,
even like to kill insects. If I can, I scoop them up and let them out.
yeah. I mean, I don't do that, but I could never kill someone. But yeah, it's just this is just like a general like story about just like a person who's growing up in the gang life in like a lower income neighborhood, right? But yeah, this was such a nice read, and it was an easy read too. Like I got through it pretty quickly.
Yep. And Greg read it too. That's why he asked about what her name is. Starr. Sharanja, you're muted.
When I compare it to The Hate You Give, I think I liked The Hate You Give a little bit more because I think I just enjoyed the topic of like the protesting and
Mm-hmm.
you know like the themes of like police brutality and speaking up for people who can't just a bit more. This was also a great read, but I think I just liked that story a little bit more.
Not only that, but like experience wise, we more we're like more Star's age because this book
Mhm,
is based in the 90s. Obviously, we were born in the 90s, so
mhm,
like we wouldn't have the experiences that he had. Like
mhm.
we didn't have pagers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Although I did like the like certain references that they were making, like they talked about TLC, they talked a lot about Tupac, but
Yeah, like the new music coming out.
the new music coming out, I'm like, oh, I remember this. I'm a
Because I
90s
think
baby.
this happened just after Tupac died.
Yeah, just after. Although, like, I thought Tupac would be mentioned a little bit more in this book, but it was just enough that you kind of get where Angie Thomas is getting her inspiration from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Angie Thomas loves Tupac because The Hate You Give was also based off something Tupac said.
Telling spoon feeding instead of showing.
Well, she does that in this book throughout, which is why it was so easy to read. Like
Well,
her
I think
writing
that's
is very
also because
simplistic.
like this book what would you consider it to be? Would it be a YA or would it be a middle grade?
I would say this can
'Cause
fit into YA and middle grade.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I feel like it could be YA, but it would also be a very easy read for a middle grade.
Mm-hmm.
So for like 11, 12 upwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wish that she had like fleshed out the ending a little bit more. Maybe not just ended it
Yeah.
right when she did, because it doesn't seem. I don't know. I was expecting for Starr to be born when they ended the book, but they ended the book right when they thought of what they were gonna name Starr.
Literally, the last sentence in the book is, I think I got a name.
I think I got a name. Yeah. Yeah. So Angie Thomas's books are becoming like movies. The Hate You Give was already a movie, but they're making On the Come Up as a movie as well.
Was it a
Did you
movie or was it made for TV show?
I thought they were still making it into a movie, but it could be a TV show now. I'm a little bit out of the loop on it, but I hope they make this into a movie too. I feel like this could be a great story.
Oh, also, I guess we should mention this. When this book first came out, hence why Strange and I got signed copies of the first edition, we were like in this book thing with Angie Thomas, like where she was talking about Concrete Rose.
Yeah.
We're in
And
the workshop thing.
yeah, it was like a workshop thing, but it was a really interesting read too.
Yeah.
It was I think she mentioned that she wanted the actor who played Mav in The Hate You Give to come back and do like a cameo for the Concrete Rose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I like that actor too. He did a really good job of playing her dad. Trying to find his name.
Wanna come up? Everything you know. Wanuri Kahui is
Russell Hornsby.
attached to direct
I think they casted it too.
and a screenwriter. I'm like partially done on the come up.
Yeah, what are you thinking? What are you thinking about it?
I like it. I really like it. I'm
Yeah.
aggravated by her
Her aunt?
Aunt Pooh.
Yeah. She has like a really strong,
Get
loving
out of
relationship
here.
with her aunt, but her
Her
aunt
aunt's
just
not a
can't
good
get her life
person.
together. Also, it seems like Angie Thomas is creating like a shared universe because her other book On the Come Up is set in the same neighborhood as Concrete Rose and The Hate You Give. Like Concrete Rose is a prequel, so it happened like a couple of years before, but The Hate You Give and On the Come Up are like set in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, because where these guys are a part of the King Lord's gang,
Mm.
the on the come up, her Aunt Pooh that we're talking about, she is a part of the rival gang, the
Mhm. The
Garden.
Garden Disciples.
Yeah, GD.
Hmm. I like that she's sort of like creating this neighborhood where you feel like this is just like any like um low income crime ridden neighborhood in any major city, but she's like taking stories that we're all familiar with and just writing it about this one neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's like different years
Hmm.
apart.
Yeah, I think On the Come Up she kind of based it off her own life too because she was a she was a rapper when she was younger. Like she tried to make it as a rapper. So a lot of like the
I feel like
raps that
that's
are
hard to.
on the come up
I
are her raps.
find that hard to believe.
I can see her doing it though.
Just because her voice is just so like not
didn't
what I
say-
would envision.
Yeah, but I didn't say she was successful though.
Because her voice sounds like it would she like now she might be able to get away because like the way that rap sounds is different now, but like when she was younger, that was more of like the hardcore hip hop. Her voice don't seem tough like that.
No. I think she just liked the writing aspect of it, right?
Yeah, poetry.
Poetry.
She's such an adorable human being, though. Her and Nick Stone, I love them.
Yeah,
They're like
cute.
real life besties.
Yeah, I like her. I like her personality. She's very like she has like a bright personality, and you can see it coming off in some of her characters.
Definitely.
Definitely. I hope they do the casting right if they ever make Concrete Rose.
I think they will.
Yeah. Did you know that like two of the actors that they had in The Hate You Give was in the Black Panther movie that just came out with Lakeith Stanfield, the one that played like her other best friend, like Seven's other half sister, and you know how in the beginning it starts because her Star's best friend gets shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the actor who plays the kid who was shot and Seven's other half sister were both in the new Black Panther movie that came out, which I thought was interesting.
I saw the movie, but I'm not visually seeing you talking about.
Dominique Fishburne, I think Fishback or Fishburne.
She related to Lawrence Fishburne?
No. I'm getting her last name wrong. Dominique Fishback. Yeah, Dominique Fishback, and she killed it in that movie. And Judas and the Black Messiah, and
Keep her face. Okay, yes, I know this one.
And weird enough, I always thought that she should have been the one who played Starr in the movie instead of Amanda. But I guess they picked Amanda because she's
light skinned.
I was gonna say she's more of a well-known name, right? But it could be that too. And yeah, the other actor's name is Algie Smith.
Because Lisa's supposed to be like really light.
Mm-hmm. But but in the book, they described her as dark skin. Like even on the cover of the book, they have a dark skin African American female on the cover.
I'm trying to find the original cover because one of my pet peeves is when a movie comes out and then they automatically change the book cover to the movie cover.
Oh, I feel like if you just Google it, it should come up.
Yeah, I just did that. I found it. But I'm just saying, that's one of my pet peeves.
Yeah, that happens all the time because they think that
all the time.
They think that like releasing the book with like a famous actor's name will help get sales increased.
I think they think that as long as people they like associate it, it'll get better sales because they're like, oh, I know that face.
Yeah, but they do that with every book that becomes a movie.
They need to stop.
Did you find the cover?
Do that, yeah, I did. If they do that, I want to see them release a movie with the book cover as the poster.
They could do that. They release book posters all the time, so
they should. You know why? Because the people who do these covers put a lot of time and effort into making such beautiful covers.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah. And this cover is super pretty.
This is the current book that I'm reading, and like this cover is just so beautiful to me.
Hey, I want to read that book.
I got you the book.
Okay, thanks, best friend.
It's a great read so far.
Oh my gosh, do you have any wrapping up thoughts? More BIPOC stories. More stories like this. More representation. Hell yeah.
Say it with me. Hashtag representation matters.
Hashtag representation matters.
Hashtag diversity and inclusion.
Yeah. Hashtag support authors of color. None of these other
Hashtag
people writing
support
your story.
BIPOC characters. Hashtag
BIPOC
support
characters.
BIPOC authors.
BIPOC authors, BIPOC writers.
Hashtag support BIPOC creatives.
Hashtag support Brown Girls in the Rain book club.
Which, speaking of Black BIPOC creatives, I realized I brushed past this, but hi Gabby. She's a great artist. If y'all don't follow her, go follow her now. Her Instagram handle is the same, California Blend.
She's an amazing artist.
A healthy plug. And her art's back there behind me too. Another plug.
I'm gonna try and see if I can get up on Instagram. Support local artists too.
Yes. Hashtag support local artists. Hashtag support your local creatives. Which another healthy plug for supporting your local creatives. Selena over here, she's got the Everything 90s podcast on deck. Go follow her on Instagram. Also on Thursday, her and me and the Melanin Marvels are having a Fresh Prince collaboration coming out. So stay tuned.
Amazing.
Stay tuned.
Amazing episode coming out. Especially because you love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, all 6 seasons just sitting back here behind me.
Yeah. And your name is Fresh Princess, so
that too. That too. Got it, dude. Which I just realized that's also a 90s reference. Jeez.
Got it, dude.
All in
the Olsen twin reference.
Yeah.
Also, their sister is such a better actress than the 10 times better.
Their sister also probably had a better upbringing, like a less toxic one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I loved her in WandaVision.
Me too. But how are y'all feeling about this new Winter Soldier Falcon Winter Soldier? That last episode, the racial things, they're doing it right, my guy.
I also just like their dynamic. They have like a very charming, witty dynamic on screen.
They hate each other, but they're gonna eventually love each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right,
they're gonna be frenemies that turn into friends.
Friends and then lovers. No, Disney would never do that, but
also, before we go, let me do another quick plug here. All episode it's been going across the screen, but on April 11th, we will be discussing all of these far sectors with Sean, aka Stay Puft 1983, because you know we're gonna come through. Also, Greg's gonna be with us because
our other VIP.
We need some representation here, and all of us be reading this, and all of us be loving it. I'm so glad that I got Shranja to read this and that she likes it.
I think that what I like most about it is the art, though. Especially
speaking of supporting Black creatives locally, Jamal Campbell, Toronto Mance.
And if you could just like open up one and just show them the art, like it's super.
Which one you want? 1 through 10. Tell me which one.
Do the first one. Do the first one.
Hold on. Trying to find a page that you could actually see.
Like you.
I guess this is like a close up of.
Yeah, like the art is just crazy good. Very futuristic.
And the story's pretty swell too.
Mhm.
I would say if you're not really into superheroes, it's all right because this one's not superhero-y. It's got a
Yeah.
great story. It's more like a
Mystery.
murder mystery.
Mystery, yeah. And the author is N.K.
Jemisin.
Jemisin, who's also like an OG fantasy writer. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. It really means
See
a
you
lot that
on
you guys support us.
April 11th when we discuss all 11
All
issues
11.
of our sector.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
How?